play the chess every day at lunch. They are found the same skill level. So they have each one around half of the match they have played against each other. So which they did because they are in a very similar level, so they always like 50-50, right? So look what the stat say. I cannot remember how many games they played last week, but I know Matt won 5. So they must play around 10 games. This is what the stat understand. Because they just winning roughly half of the games each. So when we know that Matt won 5, then they must play 10 in around the 10, about around the 10s in total. So this is another type of the fallacy people make, right? So look at these facts. When we say around half of the matches, right? So how can we get this conclusion to say, all right, how can we understand the facts? Sorry, how can we understand the facts to say they won around half of the match? Yeah, this is the facts actually is very generalized conclusion. The facts, right? The understanding about these facts to say, okay, it's not pointing to any specific 5 to 10 or 9 games. It's more like the general conclusion to say when they're playing a lot, yeah, when we overall to see their total games they play with each other, this around 50 and 50. Yeah, but what the stat is trying to say is instead using these facts to apply this one on a very specific examples to say, okay, since Matt won 5, then they just play around 10. Yeah, so that is another typical fallacies that people make is sometimes we try to apply a general conclusion to a specific examples, or in another way is sometimes people want to get more generalized conclusion by just using the very specific example. That is both wrong. This is both fallacies that we make during the our reasoning. So for this question, the correct answer is A, which means if we look at any specific games in that segment of their play, even they are in the very similar levels, we cannot say they are also like winning half and half, right? We can winning half and half. Let me give you another example is we all know that when we just toss a coins, we'll get a 50% of chance to get a head, we'll get a 50% chance to get a tail. But that 50% is based on the very large quantities when you just toss the coins, right? But can we just to narrow that conclusions just down to my 2 toes? It's definitely not works, right? Let's in another example to say if I toss the first one is the head, which is I get a head already, can we guarantee to say my next one will be tail for sure? Because it's 50-50. So when I get a head, the next one I should get is the tail. It's not right. Yeah, obviously it's not right. Which means even we get the generalized conclusion to say it's a 50-50% to get the tail and the head, but we have no way to apply this conclusion to the very specific numbers of the toes we make. So here the correct answer